Hi, I'm Mr. D and welcome again to my kitchen. Today in my thermal cooker I'm cooking a recipe from wartime Britain, the Doris Grant's no-knead loaf. Now Doris Grant was a pioneer in promoting whole foods, and during World War II she created this simple no-knead loaf to help people easily make bread even during rationing. The bread became so popular for its ease of making and health benefits that it became the staple in many homes. The first loaf we have is a gluten-free loaf. This one is made from a packet mix bought from my local supermarket. But if you're interested in making the bread from scratch, I do also have gluten-free bread recipes on my website mrdskitchen.co.uk. Next up is a seeded rustic crunch loaf. This one I also made from a bread mix. I baked this one in a cake tin, which gives it a nice round shape and a slightly larger loaf than one made in Mr. D's bread tin. Now let me cut the loaf in half and show you the crumb, which is nice and even. Finally, here's the wholemeal Doris Grant loaf. It's sunk a bit, probably from rising and touching the lid, but as you see when I cut it open, the crumb once again is still soft and even. You'll notice also that the loaf is much darker colour because of the wholemeal flour. So that's the 3 types of loaves you can make in a thermal cooker. So now let's get on and make one, the Doris Grant no-knead loaf. The first thing you need to do is sift 250 grams of bread flour into a large bowl. Today I'm using wholemeal flour with seeds for extra texture. After making a well in the centre of the flour, add 1 teaspoon of salt and 5 grams of dried yeast. Now squeeze in some honey or sugar if you prefer. This helps the yeast along. Pour in 175 millilitres of slightly warmed water. When making bread, the slightly warm water is ideal for activating the yeast. Mix everything together with a fork until it comes together into a smooth dough. Since this is a no-knead bread, we're just combining the ingredients until they're mixed together. Now remove the lid from the bread tin and grease the inside thoroughly. Place the cut silicone baking sheet in the base and give the top a grease to prevent the bread from sticking if it rises. Now add the dough with a fork, smoothing it over before putting the lid on the tin. I'm using my thermal cooker to rise the bread dough, so place a low trivet in the inner pot and pour in a cup of boiling water. Set the bread tin on the trivet and put the lid on. Now place the inner pot in the insulated outer container and close the lid, allowing the dough to rise for about 45 to 50 minutes. After the dough has risen, to the inner pot pour in boiling water until it reaches about 3/4 of the way up the bread tin. Here you can see where the water has come up to. Put the lid on and return the inner pot to the heat source and bring it to a gentle boil. Once boiling, lower the heat and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes before putting the inner pot back into the insulated outer container and leaving it to cook without power for a minimum of 4 hours. I normally leave mine overnight though, to have fresh bread for breakfast. Once cooked, remove the bread tin from the pot, take off the lid and let it cool a few minutes. Then carefully run a knife around the edge to loosen and turn out your fresh loaf to cool completely. You can see this loaf has risen nicely even though there was no kneading of the dough. And it's made the perfect loaf to eat at any time of the day. If you enjoyed this recipe, please subscribe and don't forget to click on the bell, because then you'll be notified when I put up new recipes.